I always thought that the internet was a weird place, but
there's weird places on the internet.
I didn't know just how weird it is. And
how weird are you thinking?
Well, I saw this advert on the TV recently for like a dating website, and it was like dating people that are like work in uniform. You don't have to
specifically just for that.
Yeah. So like if you fancy somebody that like dresses up as a policeman or whatever, or maybe for a living.
Pizza delivery.
Yeah, sure.
Garbage collector. Those sought after.
Do you get turned on by the smell of raw garbage?
No, not the smell, the look of the uniform, the disgusting overalls filled with stains.
There's definitely got to be somebody out there that gets turned on by like the binman. I mean, there are people that get turned on by just a dirty, smelly binman. If there's any dirty, smelly binman out there, I apologise.
Buy some deodorant.
Or get a better job.
They have a great job actually, because you know how we have to put out those little blue bins now every 2 weeks. That has not the blue big bin.
Can I interrupt just really quickly? You're very quickly veering onto one of those cliche British talking points.
No, because I'm not complaining about them.
Oh, okay.
I'm not complaining about them at all. So we have 2 blue bins actually. We have a big wheelie bin that all recycling goes in, and then we also have a little one which is for like glass, but also appliances and things like that. And when I walk the dog early in the morning, on the day that these go out,
the dog isn't a euphemism, is it?
No.
Right, good.
I pass all the blue bins that folk put out, and some of the things they throw away, I just find amazing. It's like, it looks like fully functioning appliances, or I saw someone throwing out a full set of like fancy looking glasses once, and vases. And being a binman must be great, because you can just go, right, I'll have that. I mean, I assume there's laws that they have to go by that they're not supposed to, but they will.
Not supposed to and don't are 2 completely different things.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I'm passing, I'm half thinking, yeah, I could probably have that. I mean, they don't want it, but then I remember, what would I want a vase for? And carry on walking. But the moral of the story is, if you want some free stuff, go out early on the day that those bins go out.
I'll pass.
Okay.
That kind of comes on.
You say that now, but once you have a house and you need to furnish it, we'll just see them. So what's the next one?
Send me your wound.
A picture of your wound, or just the wound. You get somebody
like a cut. You're like just like pop it out and then
They're probably a supplier for the gangsters that want to leave a message without actually getting to the gory stuff.
They want people to send them pictures of wounds.
Do they say why?
I don't know. It's a social networking site for people who like looking at injuries.
That's a little. Actually, no. That's probably people who watch Channel 4. Come to think of it, because they must love those programs about ugly, horrible, disfigured people and that kind of thing.
Sometimes I
rubbernecking, and you do it as well.
Yeah, but I wouldn't just sit and look at like a gallery of wounds, injuries and stuff. That's just weird.
Yeah, especially not while touching yourself. That's horrible. I mean, I'm not implying you do that. I'm implying that there's a percentage chance that the number of people on that website do, and it's not healthy.
Wherever you are, you're bad people, and you should stop it right away.
On a foreign version I watched of Dragon's Den, there was someone who pitched a website called I Will Draw You a Cat. I think it's .ca, because it was a Canadian version. And he just made a business saying, pay me to draw a cat and I'll draw you a cat.
Was he like good at drawing cats, or is this just like a circle with
he just spends a couple of minutes. In fact, I'm just going to quickly type it in. I will draw you a cat, CA, because it's Canadian, I think. I want to draw a cat for you is the actual address. He charges $9.95 in Canadian dollars.
What?
And it's full of pictures he's actually done previously for people. So it just shows you that there's weird websites like the wooden thing that you found that are pointless and disgusting, and then there's pointless ones that actually make people a living.
It's just I don't.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to add insult to injury, because he's got a counter for how many people he's drawn cats for. So $9.95 per cat. He has drawn 5,814 cats, so he has earned himself just shy of $60,000.
That's brilliant.
Drawing
I take my
people
tat off.
cats.
My
Your tat?
I take my hat off to him.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. He had a very amusing... I was actually on Shark Tank he was on. That's what it was on. I get confused between the two versions. Shark Tank is the American version of Dragon's Den because they assume sharks are more deadly than dragons. Actually, no, they probably thought, hang on a minute, sharks are real. We don't want to scare the American populace by calling them dragons because they might accidentally assume dragons are real.
Yeah, they've seen them in, Skyrim, so they're going to assume that they're out there somewhere.
You just see Alderaan sitting on one of the chairs. I will kill your Dovahkiin.com. Hello and welcome to the Bringo Hurty E3 2012 special. I don't remember what number of podcasts this is, but it's our E3 special, so that's the priority here.
I think it's 29, but who cares?
I thought it was 28, but I didn't want to guess. So there you go. Hello.
Hello, as I swig from my beer.
You do that when someone else is talking, not when they're...
You were talking.
Oh, okay.
It was an exceptionally long swig.
Okay, so what we're going to do here, like we did last year, in fact, we're just going to get the usual business out of the way probably pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about how terrible E3 was for yet another year in a row.
Don't spoil it.
Everybody is in pretty much unanimous agreement that... I know they say it every year that it was terrible, but this year they actually have plenty of justification, I think.
I would agree, but
we'll get to that in individual examples. So we're going to start with what we've been playing. What have we been playing? Diablo 3, nothing else. Let's move on.
That's pretty much it, Diablo 3, yeah.
I played Disgaea for a little bit, for the record, but that is it. So, yeah, Diablo 3 is still being very much crack.
Yeah.
However,
we finished the story on normal mode. It was a piece of piss.
And the playthrough is now finished on my YouTubes.
Yep. Flick FFXI.
You don't need to plug it for me.
That's how it works.
I'm so well known I don't need to. You should plug your own and pretend that I'm talking about videos on yours. You can see our full Diablo 3 playthrough on his YouTube, Lighty Warrior.
You can't.
You'll go there and you'll see nothing.
It's lies. You can't say lies.
Everybody lies. Even the Queen.
That's true.
But we're still talking about Diablo 3.
Yeah, so we finished that. We are playing it through on the harder difficulty, which is a little harder.
The die count has increased.
Mostly
your brother. Although you have as well. You're more squishy than you were on the normal difficulty.
That's true. But it's because I have a gung-ho approach to playing the Witch Doctor, which works perfectly fine in normal difficulty, but you need to kind of curb it back a little bit.
Plus, you and your brother have both gone pure glass cannon pretty much, but now you're kind of changing it now that we're on this difficulty.
Yeah, I have to
You have to balance a bit more HP to take some hits.
Yep.
Because it becomes less about just taking less damage and more about surviving what would have been a one-hit kill.
Exactly.
We were struggling with one of the act bosses last night because of that.
Oh, he's a big filthy cheat. He
does cheat a little bit as well. That's going to be even harder on each subsequent difficulty.
So, yeah, Diablo 3, it's good fun. If you fancy trying to fill up our fourth slot to play with us.
Actually, I had someone pitch that earlier.
I know. Oh. That's why I'm putting this out there.
Because you want them to compete with each other in some kind of death match where the winner gets to become one of us.
Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy some pool cues, and then I'm going to snap them, and I'm going to hand them out, and you can just...
Find an illegal download of the music from Spock and Kirk fighting each other and play that over it.
You have to dress up.
You have to dress up. You don't need to dress up as Spock and Kirk.
Yeah,
do.
Yeah, it has to be Spock and Kirk, and with broken pool cues. That's the rules.
Specifically Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner, not the new two.
Yeah. You need the ears.
Not Matt Damon Light and Siler.
So,
I did want to complain briefly about Diablo 3 because I did almost end my time with it.
Yeah, I was waiting for this.
Yeah, I wrote this in my notes as had my gold stolen by pricks. So I hadn't played for a day or two. I logged in and found that all my gold was gone from my account. And clearly, I was going to say gill seller there. It just shows that's an old wound that hasn't healed.
I always go to gill seller, and then I'm sure
WoW players are used to saying gold though, because it's gold in that, isn't it?
It is, but I still instinctively go to gill seller for Final Fantasy.
Well, it's gold in Diablo 3, so either way, one of them got access to my account, stole it all, transferred it to a mule, who I assume also passed it on. To be fair to them, I got in contact with Blizzard and said, it might take up to 2 days for them to sort the problem. It actually took a couple of hours.
On a Sunday?
On a Sunday, they just rolled back the account prior to it being stolen. So I don't know if the money is still in circulation and I just get a copy of it, as it were, or if it also reverses it being stolen. I don't know. That
might be quite amusing. Like, they go to check their account and it's just, where did it go?
Well, at the very least, I hope the mule and whoever it transferred to, they follow the line down and, get rid of them.
So that was bad.
That was bad. Good that they sorted it. Bad that something on their end led to that happening.
And it's just, just another, one of these drawbacks for Diablo where...
Not to mention all the lag and continued downtime. Anyway, yeah, this isn't the Complain About Diablo 3 podcast. No, that's a different podcast.
This is the E3 podcast, so that's what we're here for.
So Microsoft was the very first one, and not to give away my opinion of it early, but it was clearly the worst of all three.
It was pretty bad, but at least it wasn't as overtly Kinect heavy as it was last year.
Kinect was...
It was a theme. It was definitely something they were still plugging, but not like last year.
It wasn't... Yeah, it wasn't... It was all Kinect last year, other than some third-party titles. So yeah, this year it wasn't Kinect, but it was something equally as tedious. Do you want to tell people about... I can't even remember. What did they call it? They called it Smart Glass, isn't it?
Smart Glass, yeah. It sounds good on paper to a certain extent, but then the same with Kinect. It's like when you try to put it into practice, you think, what's the point?
What is the point?
The Smart Glass thing where you can move things backwards and forwards between... Well, not backwards and forwards, but you can move things over from your phone or your tablet or whatever straight onto the big screen with your console and stuff, and connects all of these things together.
I bet like the Wii U in the sense that it's not interrupting play to move between devices when you're playing a game.
But I think what they're getting at is that they think that when people aren't on their consoles and so on, that they're sitting with their phone. Which is probably true, I suppose. But then when I'm sitting on my phone, I'm browsing websites or checking Twitter or Facebook.
How the hell are you browsing websites if you're sitting on your phone?
I have.
My ass just knows its way around the browser.
Yeah. And it's got feedback response. I can sort of like Braille, and I can feel it on my butt cheeks, and I can tell what the words are.
That was horrible.
Butt cheeks Braille.
We're talking about
Dragon's Den. That's what it is. I'm getting on Dragon's Den with Braille for your butt cheeks. Are you in?
Okay. No.
All right. Okay.
No.
So yeah, Smart Glass. You're supposed to be able to, move. Like if you're watching a film or whatever, you can move it straight, from your tablet onto your TV, and your tablet then starts showing you information about the actors and the director and blah blah blah, which kind of defeats the point of you watching the film if you're sitting there looking.
This is actually going to be a running theme when we get to talking about the Wii U. Why do you want interrupted by other devices around you?
It's like when it takes some of the immersion away, but then when we get to the Wii U, I'll explain why it does work in some situations.
Oh, really? We'll see about that. I think when Matt Stone and Trey Parker from South Park were on stage, they actually, although they were plugging their game, they also kind of took the piss out of the mentality Microsoft had went with.
They did.
Saying, isn't it nice you can do this and this while you're in an oven on your fridge, etc.
Connecting your toaster and your fridge to your PC, which is connected to your microwave. But yeah.
And that was the whole thing they did with the Microsoft conference. It was less about games, and that's...
But there were things that popped up on their conference that weren't specific to them.
Yeah, which means that was third party.
Yeah, okay. So Microsoft...
they kind of, other than Halo 4, they kind of relied on third party to provide the games for their game conference.
Oh yes, definitely.
Because they were busy going on about this Smart Glass shit, and also the Bing channel and the music channel coming to Xbox.
It's obviously where money is made. That's what it is. They're obviously not making money from games because third-party people are doing better at that. So they're obviously just going, well, what we'll do is we'll go back into the hardware because...
Including ripping off iTunes among the things they announced.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they called it. I think they just called it Xbox Music.
I think you're right. How inventive. What a creative name.
The worst bit, by far, you might be expecting me to say Halo here, but no. It was when they had the guy from Nike on stage. And he just went on and on and on and on and on, but said nothing.
Didn't really say
and
anything
it's
at all.
Amazing. It was PR at its best, or worst, depending on your perspective.
There was a definite theme of sort of sporty, fitnessy stuff this year as well. Like that was the thing that was really coming through for me. Everything that was getting shown at all the conferences always had some sort of, dancey, sporty, fitnessy sort of thing.
Exactly.
I didn't like it.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
I'm not dancey. The sporty. The only thing I'm really involved in is snowboarding.
Mm-hmm. We've kind of broken the going in order that we didn't start with Halo 4 because that was their big opening to their conference.
Right. Yeah. So Halo 4. Subtle.
Move on now.
Subtle. So you didn't like it then, really?
I didn't not like it. It just looked no different. The graphics may be a tiny bit polished, but essentially it's still the same toy soldiers shooting aliens.
Yep. It might be interesting. Who knows?
Of course, it's not in Bungie's hands, so they might not be as arrogant as Bungie got and do some things different.
It's kind of hard to tell with what was shown if it's going to.
Yeah, I just kind of showed the new aliens, showed some new weapons. That was about it. I think some multiplayer was done off stage afterwards, but I didn't really look into it.
You weren't pulled in by the stuff?
I am not pulled in. I didn't mind Reach, but it's one of those things I wouldn't mind playing it because of the co-op and
probably the co-op campaign.
The multiplayer I don't actually mind the Halo multiplayer. I like how open and fast paced it is.
Interesting.
It's not. I wouldn't take it seriously, but I don't mind it.
Fair enough. I just didn't see that as being something that you were particularly interested in.
Well, I mean in the sense of if I was forced at gunpoint between a Call of Duty multiplayer and a Halo multiplayer, I would steal the gun and put it in my mouth. But if I couldn't steal the gun and put it in my mouth, I would play Halo. Don't take that out of context. I did try. I tried Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer and I hated it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's too serious without actually being serious, especially on Xbox. So, do you have?
I had a million things I could have said there, but that would really lower the tone.
45% of it would be innuendo, maybe 35% racism, and
a bit of teabagging.
Oh, all right, and the last few percent is teabagging percent. The teabagging percentile of Xbox Live.
You know who you are.
By which he means everyone. So, what did you think of Halo 4? Are you stoked to buy it?
Not really. There were a few things that came out of E3 that kind of jumped out at me, and Halo 4 wasn't one of them. And I think a lot of it comes down to being a tired franchise. It just feels like maybe if they just give it a rest for a little while, then came back with a new generation of graphics and gameplay and stuff. But it might be good.
It has only been a year since Reach, hasn't it? Although it's not going to be out until. I can't remember if they listed a date. I'm checking my notes now. It'll
be 2013 February or whatever, because that's the popular.
That seems to be the month. February is going to be a busy month next year for some.
It's not going to be because everything's going to eventually stagger. But that's when they say everything's coming.
Well, rough estimates, yeah. I mean, there's some. Anyway, we'll move on. What else was shown after Halo 4 and a bit of their crap about smartphones and things like that? It was Splinter Cell.
Splinter Cell
Blacklist, which I was not expecting and was.
That was a well-guarded secret. That hadn't really been, rumoured around for.
Yeah, it wasn't rumoured. It wasn't accidentally leaked prior to the show starting.
No, I was quite surprised.
It was one of the three things I was interested in after E3 ended.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I would agree.
Not just, I mean, it didn't look as stealthy because, I mean, he called in an airstrike.
But
guys,
Conviction wasn't really all that stealthy either. They'd gone into, but
it's gone in the Jason Bourne direction.
I kind of like what they did with Conviction. At first, I wasn't really that into.
Yeah, I liked Conviction. Yeah,
it's got a sort of a kind of stealthy, kind of fast paced burst combat, which I quite like.
And the important thing is the co-op is back. Spy versus Mercs is also back as a separate thing as well.
That's going to be good, because we played that competitively for the PC.
Yes, we did.
The bad thing is...
On the second one.
Michael Ironside isn't coming back.
Yeah, I thought it was just like the last E3 or whenever it was, the last Splinter Cell was out, they had someone else do his voice for the E3 trailer, and then Michael Ironside just did it for the game. But apparently he's too old now. Is that the excuse they gave?
They wanted to use the same actor to do the voice as well as the motion capture. Mm-hmm. And
which is stupid.
It wouldn't work with him because he's not the right build, apparently.
What they're saying is he doesn't sound like someone of Fisher's girth, I guess.
I don't
But that
care.
doesn't make sense.
I don't care.
Because he did it for 7 other games or something.
Exactly. It just... Don't get me wrong, this new game might be alright, but you're just used to Sam Fisher, Michael Ironside. That's just what it's been.
If there was a reason, like if he was to pass away, then that would be, obviously there's no way around it, fine.
Yeah, okay, that's a good enough excuse. Just
unless they have, they get someone to invent technology where you can just kind of re-stimulate the vocal cords of a corpse.
Just the vocal cords.
I'm not sure how much money I would have to invest to have that done. Just...
I talk to dead people.
And they talk back.
Could somebody scratch my ass?
How did that come from?
I have no idea. So
yeah, I'm disappointed it's not Ironside. I hope that pointless petition going around actually gets Ubisoft to change their mind.
Yeah, people are petitioning to try and tell them just to get him in to do the voice.
Yep. Maybe there was another reason, like he wanted too much money, and they're just trying to keep that in the quiet. Who knows?
Could be, but it's worth it. They should pay him. I don't care.
It is worth it. I like his voice. He has a good voice.
But yeah, it's definitely one of the things that came out of E3 that's good, that I'm looking forward to.
One of the 3. So that's giving you a heads up of my opinion of most of everything else we're going to talk about.
I've probably got an idea of what the other 2 are, but I'll leave
We'll see. So what do you think of Gears of War Judgment?
I think
we should just end on that noise. Just a bit higher.
As I get older, I get more and more cynical about like what I see before I play things.
Good.
And Gears of War Judgment is one of those things where I'm still a bit sort of cynical about it.
Let me ask you a question. Let me pitch you a question. If you knew that the Nazis lost World War II, would you play a game set a few years before that, playing as the Nazis?
Maybe. Yeah, why not?
Because you know you're going to lose. So you know the eventual outcome.
The war, but you might not lose the battle. You might be like...
No, they lost the battle. But that's the point I was kind of making in a roundabout way. I didn't mean to invoke Godwin's law there, but that's the best example I could think of at the time. Why would you want to see the start of a war that you've played the end of a year ago?
I suppose it's like, but you could play that prequel mentality to anything by saying,
also, why
if you know that so and so isn't going to die or whatever, then why bother watching that film? Because you know that he's in the next one or whatever.
Exactly, yeah. And why would you want to play as Coltrane? That's another thing.
He's Coltrane, baby.
I mean, at least Baird is kind of funny, but just as stereotypical as every other character.
Should have got you playing as one of the Carmines. That's what you should have been.
That would have been a good idea. The whole Carmine family at the start of the war. All 4. Oh no, there's only 3, isn't there? They could invent a 4th, a sister, because there has to be one girl in every group of 4. That's a gaming rule. It's a gaming rule. It's like the rule of 3 for bosses. So yeah, that would have been such a better. I mean, you should tweet that to Pratface on Twitter. And actually, that's one of the. That's a 4th thing I'll add to my list of good things to come out of E3. There was no Cliffy B.
That's true. I was surprised about that.
I was surprised. I expected him to be on stage talking about it, but
he's probably kind of got the hint from all the hate mongering and stuff that people just don't want to see him. They don't want to hear his face.
Yeah, I observed quite a while ago in my article about Twitter actually that he comes across as one of those people who he'll like playing with trolls, but secretly he'll take everything to heart.
Yeah. But interestingly,
yes, what
the Gears of War Judgment multiplayer is to have like sort of classes. So there'll be like a medic sort of class and a heavy sort of class and a scout sort of class.
Will there be a Coltrane class?
Woo!
Just go around and
woo!
You get a 20% damage boost if you go down a slide.
Woo!
Yeah, doing woo.
Doing woo.
Oh no, there has to be Connect support, and then you have to say woo as it does it. Woo. Otherwise, you don't get the bonus. You have to have Connect, or no bonus for you. That's something that Splinter Cell has but doesn't need. Kinect integration.
But that's the thing, isn't it? They're putting Kinect integration into everything that doesn't actually need it, but the option is there for you to have it.
I like the example for Splinter Cell was he shouted, "Hey you!" and a guard on screen went, "Oh, what's that?" And he walked over. Like in my head, I was just going, it won't be working out what he said. So you could shout anything and he would react that way. Like, "I screwed your wife." Did I just hear something?
Colin,
hello,
dinner's ready.
Hello, I am a spy. Did I just hear something? Or you could be like, really, I'm hanging off this ledge about to pull you off. Still walk over. You could have some fun with that. You'd only amuse yourself and anyone in the room. But...
You could make some quite interesting videos with that, I reckon. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Okay.
Oh, see, I have access to Kinect, so, we could have.
That's fine. That's fine.
Mm. What else came out of the Microsoft conference that we can talk about? There's not much else of interest. There was a crappy Fable game. Oh, yeah, Tomb Raider, isn't it? Yeah. Gears of War, Uncharted Raider, Tombs.
Do you know that's another sort of theme? There's a few themes that I pulled out of this, right?
Bows and arrows.
Bows and arrows. Everything, we'll come on to that later, but every game seems to have bows and arrows now.
It's because they know we're headed for a nuclear war, so they need to teach
us how to
fire bows and arrows rather than rifles.
Catch your food. Yes. Tomb Raider looks quite sadistic.
But I knew you were going to go with that angle. Yeah, it looks like...
Well, I said that because we were talking when we were watching some of the conversation.
Some of the conversation, yeah.
Sometimes you told me to shut up. Other times you let me dribble away. I don't know if you were listening when you were typing, but it literally just... like the way that I've got this in my head is that they're just trying to put Lara through the grinder like Bruce Willis in Die Hard, but with
I was actually going to say like Die Hard.
She's going to be like a bloody wreck by the end of the game.
Isn't it a bit... technically it should be okay. There shouldn't be any fuss about it just because she's a woman going through an action movie scenario.
I don't mean that. It just... I don't think I've played any games where they seem to just intentionally try to hurt the crap out of the character.
Well, Nathan Drake gets beaten up quite a bit, but he doesn't show it by the end of the adventure, whereas it does look like in this one it will.
And it doesn't look like he gets a lot of near misses, whereas from footage I saw of this, it's just like there's a rock there, let's slam her into it. There's a tree.
Yeah, it's less a near miss and more get hit by it and move on.
Yeah. It's a Homer Simpson approach. It's like rather than maybe just missing this and just missing that, it's like hit every possible obstacle there is for combat.
It's Sideshow Bob on the rakes.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be like 10 hours of that.
Yeah, 10 hours of rakes. I said rake. This isn't Deliverance. No, she's fine. Although it does have heavy Deliverance kind of vibes going on.
There are bits that did, especially from the trailer from last year's E3.
Oh yeah, when she was getting attacked by a hobo. Yeah. Anything else from Microsoft, or is that us rounding this one up? Oh yeah, I should point out I wasn't that interested in Tomb Raider. It looked a bit too non-Tomb Raider-y.
That's one of the other themes that everybody's sort of veering towards the Gears of War sort of cover shooter mentality almost. There were bits in that just did look like they were playing Gears of War with Tomb Raider over the top of it.
Oh, there was Resident Evil 6.
Resident Evil 6 still looks like a draft getting R6.
Yeah, stop reminding me.
If you've not seen the logo for Resident Evil 6, go look now. It's a draft.
I never unsee it. Mm-hmm.
Blowjob draft.
What did you think of the Resi 6 trailer and gameplay as well, I should point out, yeah?
It's Gears of Evil. It's more
Gears of Evil.
More cover shooting mechanics.
Well, it showed Leon diving around and dual wielding and things like that.
Lots of quick time events as well.
But they were in Resident Evil 5 as well.
I know. It's just it feels like these are the things that sort of popped out at me.
Have you heard about crossover co-op?
No.
This actually appeared after the show. On the shop floor they revealed this. So I'll throw it in now because we're talking about Resident Evil 6 now.
Right.
It's an optional thing, not mandatory, and it's different from regular co-op. At points in the story, you'll be at a stage where two of the three sets of people you play as would interact. So say it could be Leon and what's her name and Chris and his partner.
Right.
So crossover co-op gives you the option to be randomly paired with someone playing as the other pair on the same level as you to play it through together.
Is that 4-player then?
That's technically 4-player co-op, yes. Only for crossover points, though. Not all the time, because obviously the characters are away from each other for parts of the story.
For canon purposes, it has to be...
Yeah. I find it interesting. Not needed, but...
So you just turn that function on, and as long as you're connected to the...
You get the choice, I think, when you reach each one. And you get randomly paired, it said, not specifically. And also, they also stated that an individual story for one of the three pairs you play as is comparable to the length of Resident Evil 5, but that'll be pure BS.
Yeah, there'll probably be bits that you kind of like recycled scenes and stuff like that. It's like,
or they're counting the DLC they've removed off the disc prior to release.
Well, that's it. They're just saying, well, that's half a game right there. So the first, you'll get one pairing to start with, and then one pairing will get DLC, and then another one is DLC. So just like Raccoon City Operations or Operation Raccoon City.
Operation Raccoon City, goddamn. You aren't even doing that on purpose, because I can tell. You just have this thing in your brain that's confused those two words.
That's why I say both. So that way I definitely get it right. I also definitely get it wrong, but...
True.
Yeah, it looks good. It does. I'm not going to bullshit. I probably will be getting it regardless because it's Resident Evil, and it'll be fun.
Yeah,
and it will be
fun. The
DLC
that they already have planned, might I add, is exclusive at first to 360,
and
which is why it was at the Microsoft conference.
Yeah, and we never did get around to doing Resident Evil 5.
No, but that's because we knew Resident Evil 6 got announced, didn't we? So, and we had Raccoon City.
That's true.
Which was kind of a stand-in thing. Did you want to briefly moan about Racketeer and how it's just 3D Angry Birds? Because I know that got you annoyed when you were
watching that. I was watching it thinking, like, what's going on here? She's trying to have a conversation with the characters in the game, and then watching her try to do that slingshot thing, and I was like, wait, this is just 3D Angry Birds. And that's it. It literally just it's just 3D Angry Birds.
Mm-hmm. As far as the concept goes, though, I think it would be quite fun. You need to be standing up and, same Kinect problems we've moaned about before. Who wants to do that after a day of work? But as far as game concepts go, there's a sound business plan in ripping off the best-selling mobile game in the world, turning it 3D and having it so you can just kind of punch walls and whatnot and fire. Well, it was firing cannonballs, wasn't it?
It got me thinking of what would be a good game. And I don't know whether or not you played... One of the very, very first games I ever played was Gorilla. And it was made in BASIC. And essentially you typed in an angle and a strength. It was like Worms, but you weren't restricted in time and stuff like that. It was like you typed in a number for your angle and your strength, and a gorilla on one building threw a banana at that angle, and there was wind and lots of stuff. And you were trying to hit the other gorilla.
You're accessing memories from too many years ago to remember. But it's kind of ringing
from
a bell.
The past.
It's ringing a bell what you're talking about.
Yeah. It was just called gorilla.bas.
So you think
that, but in 3D format, and you could even do it with Kinect support like this, would probably be quite interesting. Where you're standing there trying to do
aim
the right,
with it.
The right sort of you're pulling down as if you're pulling down on a catapult and trying to fire at the other person's tower while they're trying to fire at yours,
or your partner if you're a lady.
Yeah, sure, why not? I think that would work.
That would sell well. A Kinect game which teaches you to be a better lover.
Anyway, enough of what hasn't come to be.
There was one last thing, actually. That
Black Ops 2.
Ugh, yeah.
It looks good. It does look good.
Do you mean visually or overall?
A bit of both. I think visually it's not miles ahead of the last Black Ops, but I'll probably get it because the multiplayer will probably be good fun.
Well, you'll be playing alone.
Stephen will be playing.
When all else fails, you just play with yourself. There's words to live by.
That's a soundbite and a half.
That is a soundbite and a half. Please don't take it out of context. Context. Are we ready to move on?
Remove your tongue out of your mouth.
No, that's where it's supposed to be.
Oh, that's what I've been doing wrong. So,
yes, the next conference was EA, I believe, or was it? Yeah, it was EA.
Yep.
So, Nothing about Mass Effect 3's DLC ending. They didn't apologise for anything.
I didn't really pull an awful lot out of the EA conference.
Much like EA themselves.
Zing!
Pretty much.
That's a low blow. No, it was
not
pretty,
for them.
It was pretty poo. You said that the Microsoft one was pretty poo, but in terms
Microsoft
of
one was the worst.
In terms of their first party content, but
I have 2 plus points for EA. They focused on games.
That's true.
You know, I mean, maybe some of them were sports games, so they weren't interesting to me personally, but they were still games. And they didn't concentrate at all on Origin. In fact, I don't think they even mentioned it.
No, they
maybe it like popped up saying a game was in it, but that's not the same as them going on about it.
They talked about Origin in the whole sort of this. The way they talk about it's like an always-on store thing. It's almost like they were kind of hinting at like Steam, but
yeah, but they know they've failed.
Yeah.
So, what did they actually talk about?
SimCity.
Yeah, and also Dead Space 3, which seems to have just forgotten that it's meant to be survival horror, and now it's co-op Resident Evil Lost Planet.
But that's what Resident Evil did, so you can't really you can't really blame them. Well, you can, but
they presumably have the same opinion as Capcom that traditional survival horror is dead, and it's not what people want, I guess. I would disagree.
I would disagree also.
Yeah, so in my notes I ended up calling it Dead Gears of War Space 3, because that's exactly what it looked like.
Everything's Gears of Raider, Gears of Evil, Gears of...
Yeah, that's not my fault, that's their fault. So, yeah, what you said, talk about SimCity a bit, not the one on Facebook.
They did that totally the wrong way around. They should have announced the real one, and then the Facebook one as an afterthought, or not even bothered.
I love after they did the Facebook one first, there was like this moment of silence in the audience, and then they kind of just went...
The thing is, they're using E3, right? Which is, you know, the big expose of the year, you know, the big one. You know, this is the advertising wet dream frenzy thing, right?
Yes, and they're wasting
which is full of you know the hardcore gamers community and stuff, and then they waste time talking about, you know, social networking games and stuff.
But you know why that is? The social networking game will have microtransactions.
Oh yeah, they make money out of that shit, but that shit doesn't need advertised at E3. The crowds are not interested in the crowds weren't interested in...
The crowds and the millions of people watching are interested in games, proper games.
Yes. The only people that are watching E3 are the people that are into the hardcore stuff. Proper gamers.
They're the only ones who'd bother to watch, yes, I agree.
Yeah. I'm not saying that all these people can't enjoy games as well, but they're not interested in watching E3 because they don't care until something comes out. They're not anticipating SimCity for Facebook. They're not like, you know...
They're not sitting there saying 10 days until Just Dance 4. Which was one of the things they showed us.
Queuing up for a midnight launch of Just Dance 4.
Just Dance 4.
People are just like boogieing on the street for hours.
If that ever happens, I don't want to live in this planet anymore. That's Futurama quote. Just saying.
Anyway, moving on.
So they did Battlefield Premium, their answer to a question no one asked called Call of Duty, whatever they called theirs, Elite, I think.
Well, sort of. I mean,
what do you mean sort of? I'm right, aren't I? It's called Call of Duty Elite?
Yeah. I mean, they're saying that it's their answer to it, because it's...
Of course it is.
Battlefield 2 had expansion packs.
Mm-hmm. They didn't have subscription services.
Oh, but this is just kind of like the same sort of thing.
Oh, you mean in the sense of it's less paying for a subscription, more you're paying for the extra maps they're adding?
Pretty much.
But don't you continue to pay?
No, I'm sure it was just...
I think it's a yearly payment.
No, because it was like $50.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a year. I must have misinterpreted that entirely.
Okay.
I thought it was just like premium, as in you were upping the ante. You were getting the premium version of Battlefield 3, which is, you know, the extra maps. Maps, you know.
I may have misunderstood as well. I'm not sure, because I was it didn't interest me, so my mind wanders.
Let's roll a d6. On a 4, 5, or 6, I'm right. Okay. On a 1, 2, 3, you're right.
I don't have my dice handy. Do you have a dice?
No, I don't have dice.
I have one of those jazzy buttons. So let's pretend...
What the fuck is a jazzy button?
I'll show you later. It rolled a 2.
Whoa. Back up.
Whoa, what?
I don't want to see your jazzy button.
This podcast is rated M for mature. Unlike you.
This podcast is rated M for motherfucker.
Anyway, moving on. They boasted about Old Republic a bit, but we can skim over that, I think, can't we?
Yeah, they did boast quite a lot about it, even though it's kind of dive bombed a little.
We shed 300,000 subscribers. Yes. They didn't word it like that, but that's how I heard it.
We've covered this before, but the problem with that game was that it just didn't have any longevity in it. It was good. I enjoyed like the interactive sort of talky cutscene things and all that. I enjoyed that. That was good. There's only so much of inane nonsense and the usual repetitive MMO element that eventually you just get to the point you're just like, nah, I can't be arsed.
It's my blank need blank syndrome.
Yeah.
It's just fetch quest, kill quest.
It's like blankety blank, but with lightsabers and less drag.
Without the cross-dresser presenting it. Right, the silent.
How the fuck did we get onto cross-dressing Jedi?
I'm pretending to sound excited about Medal of Honor.
Pretending? Aren't you genuinely excited?
I'm not. I'm interested in any really generic shooter these days, because if you've played one, you've played them all.
I'm not really all that excited about it, to be perfectly honest.
Why?
It just looks like a watered-down Call of Duty or Battlefield 3, and we already have Call of Duty and Battlefield 3, so we don't...
They're already watered down enough.
We don't We don't need a third player.
A third player.
Player 3 has entered the game.
CR hears that and he's just sitting there all stolen.
He's wearing an eye patch.
Is he?
Dressed as a lady.
The observation I made about that, and pretty much Battlefield and Call of Duty as well, you can all put them under the same heading of Americans win. And that's pretty much it. They always win. It's about them and they win.
Yeah, I suppose so. Although Medal of Honor, the multiplayer, you're supposed to be able to play from, the best of the best from around the world. So you can play as the SAS and
it was the SAS and whatnot. But the multiplayer of that didn't perk your interest.
No. The only thing I liked out of the Medal of Honor thing was the little buggy thing, the little gun turret buggy thing.
Oh, yeah. And the graphics. Graphics were nice.
The lighting was particularly well done. From what
it was the Frostbite 2 engine.
Yeah, which having, not played Battlefield 3, but having, tried the demo out, it ran very well on my, mid-range machine. The lighting in it was definitely the thing to take away. It is brilliant.
So out of that conference, after that there was a lot of sports stuff. Don't want to talk about that.
Yep.
There was a car game or two. Don't want to talk about them.
In case you hadn't realised, if you want racing stuff, sports stuff, dancey stuff, singy stuff, you're in the wrong podcast.
Yeah.
Period.
Unless you've been drinking.
Well, I have been. I've nearly finished beer.
Not enough.
Not yet. I can sing my lovely horse to you in a minute if you want.
No, thank you, no.
No, okay.
So there was a Crisis 3 stage demo. It had a bow and arrow in it. That's the only reason I'm mentioning it.
The only comments I want to make about Crisis 3 is that Crisis used to be the benchmark for graphics, basically.
Yeah, but then it went on consoles.
That's where it got its reputation from. Looking at it, it looks good. The gameplay just looks like it was pulled from a shooter from 10 years ago. It doesn't look like they're trying to, break any,
break bones.
Yeah, break bones with arrows. It just doesn't look like they're trying anything new other than to try and make it look good. And there's only so much good looking stuff that you can. I'm not.
I have no idea where you're going with this analogy. That's why I was sitting there silently waiting to see how you would try and end it.
You need some substance as well.
Yes, you do.
And it didn't look like it had substance.
No, and the graphics are no longer as good as it could be because they have to be console friendly.
Exactly. For the money.
Exactly, indeed.
Exactly. So, what's next?
The next conference was Ubisoft. Ubi?
I say Ubisoft.
So do I, but I think it might be Ubi because that's how I would imagine a French person pronounces it. If I'm wrong, correct him. So yeah, let's go with Ubisoft. Ubi? I've forgotten already which one you said.
Ubisoft. No. Yeah.
No. Are you
Just
sure?
go with it.
The French conference was the next one. And believe it or not, it wins my award for least bad conference
It's
of E3.
bad.
I don't want to say good because there was problems.
Such a positive outlook on life.
No, it's just such a negative outlook of this year's E3 is what it is. Has your best one been yet?
My best
conference. So you didn't actually watch the Ubisoft one though, did you?
I didn't catch that one when it was on. I've caught up on some of the bits and pieces of things that I like the look of.
But you didn't watch the actual
But I didn't see
presentation.
No.
Well, unlike last year, it didn't have Mr. Caffeine producing it because he's been shot dead. I mean, if I paid enough money. So it was presented by someone almost as bad, though, a female person who made some very vulgar jokes as well as swearing randomly. And I don't have this will sound really prudish, but we swear in these podcasts as well, so it's not that I'm prudish about swearing.
I do more swearing.
Fuck you. But during a presentation around the world that's being seen by people of all ages, I don't think you should swear. That's just me. That's my opinion.
I suppose, that's the thing. It's not really rated, is it? Whereas our podcast actually does have a rating.
It does get rated when you... So, it depends where you watch it, actually. Some places do warn this will have up to M-rated content.
For motherfucker!
Yeah. And I could have done without the jokes about her constantly getting girlwood and everyone being a little bit gay.
Yeah.
Or the random internet person they had backstage who was exceptionally annoying.
I've still got this concept of girlwood in my head. It's a bit sort of weird. Anyway.
How does one get girlwood?
I could break this down for you, but I'd really rather not.
Because you don't have a bit of bamboo handy? I don't know what that means. Let's talk about Ubisoft. Ubi. They started with a dance game. I'm not talking about that. I refuse.
More dancing.
The next was Far Cry 3. What did you think of that?
Do you know
that
the thing
was
that
equally as vulgar, actually?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They started with someone fondling the breasts of a tribal woman who was topless.
They definitely went with that. It's got that Bulletstorm sort of we're swearing for the sake of swearing.
Swearing and naked women.
But it reminded me a lot of Black Ops.
The first one.
It's like Black Ops meets Dead Island.
That's not a bad... I mean, it is bad, but it's a good way to describe it, yeah.
Because they're trying to go with that kind of, like, trying to get you in the character's head, but pointing out that the character's head is totally fucked up.
Yeah.
But it's on a, shiny island thing.
I didn't mind Far Cry 2. I kind of bought it when I found it cheap in a bin. And I don't mean one of the bins. You were reading the bin dog in the morning. Someone's thrown out their copy of Far Cry 2.
I'm having that.
It was nice looking.
After you smeared the jam and nappy stains off of it.
No,
but you're talking about the game, not the actual disc, right?
I wouldn't say it was an amazing game, but it was nice looking. Definitely really nice looking. And it did fire really, really well. So I think the visuals of what they showed at E3 was okay.
The water was all right.
Yes, the water effects when the guy was swimming actually did look really nice.
Fire and water, ironically, are two of the harder things for them to get right in gaming these days, isn't it?
I observed when I was watching the conference, underwater swimming graphics are impressive. It's easy to do those badly. It's getting Bethesda executive.
Yep.
Because they don't do underwater very well at all.
God. There's a knack to doing the water right in Morrowind. Not Morrowind.
In any other...
Morrowind and Skyrim. There's always... The one knack is to have your head sort of somewhere between being above water and below water, and that way you're in the water and you can look through it, but with the clarity of being out of the water.
There's an easier way. It's called Clear Water Mod. It was out for Oblivion, out for Morrowind, and I'm sure there'll be a Skyrim version. And Far Cry had bow and arrow.
Yep, more bow and arrow.
Yeah. So they also re-showed more Splinter Cell, but it was just it wasn't the same demo. I think it was a CG one they did there.
I think it might have been. I don't know whether or not I watched that in the right order when I was watching some of the videos. Right. So
I think it was just a CG one showing off a few concept things, whereas the actual gameplay was shown at the Microsoft one. Strangely, you would have thought they'd have done it the other way around, but I think they might have assumed the Microsoft one has a bigger audience than theirs.
Could be right.
Could be. Another interesting thing, after they did a crappy Avengers game, they focused on Wii U games before Nintendo's own conference.
Ubisoft. That's it. There was you got your Ubisoft stuff in the Microsoft conference, and your Nintendo stuff in the Ubisoft conference. And Nintendo left to go. Well, do you know what? I know why they did it.
Why?
I know, and it's just literally just come to me just there.
Go on, then.
We'll come to this in a second, but Nintendo wanted to spend all their time talking about the Wii U that they didn't have enough time to fit in anything else.
Oh, about third-party developer games.
So they let them cover all the other bits and pieces off in the other conference, and on the floor, I guess.
You could be right there. So they demonstrated some Wii U games.
We'll get to this in a minute, but the guy that came on to talk about the 3DS had a bit of a dig at them for saying that he'd basically given no time whatsoever to talk about the 3DS because they stole it over Wii U. Anyway.
So, of the games that that Ubisoft had, the first one was a Rayman one, which, it's Rayman. You could use the pad if you wanted. Wasn't impressed. I mean, the graphics, as expected, it was one of the few things we guessed correctly about the E3. Well, that's one of the other things. We had all these... No, I'm not finished. We had all these grand assumptions about what would be at E3, and we were wrong on pretty much every account because it turned out to be far more boring than we guessed.
You were more wrong than I was.
That's because I had higher hopes. So one of those rare occasions I had high hopes.
Did you hope to see the next-gen consoles for Sony and Microsoft?
Yes.
And I said no.
I also wanted to see Half-Life 3. We didn't. Because Valve didn't even bother doing anything for it.
No. Why bother? They're more interested in Dota 2 at the moment.
Oh, yeah. So then they showed off Zombie U, which is a zombie game for the Wii U.
I actually like the look of this.
I don't. It was all CG for a start, so you can't judge it as a game.
True. It's to play like a roguelike as well. It's to play in the style of Dungeons of
Dreadmore. That's an interesting concept. But
where when you die, if you get zombified or whatever, when you come back the next time as another character, you can actually find your zombie character from before, cut in a
I didn't
kill him and get your gear back.
Oh, interesting. That's quite an interesting concept.
And other like your friends and stuff like that will have zombie characters in there too, so you can kill your friends list.
Now, it did show some interesting concepts, like your character's trying to get through a door, you're getting chased by zombies, and on the Wii U screen of the pad is the keypad you type numbers into.
Yeah.
That seems unnecessary to me because you're missing out on the action of seeing
but that's the point. Now, I can see how this is actually going to work really well. Normally, when you're playing and you're trying to do one of these lock things or something like that, you're not looking at the controller, you're looking at the screen, so you can see anything that's going on there. Normally, it'll just be that the lock comes up and all the gameplay behind you pauses or something, right?
Yeah.
In this case, what happens is the locking mechanism, the pin pad, appears on the controller. So you've got to look at the controller and away from the screen. And so there's always that sort of panic that you've got to try and do this fast. Like keep looking at the screen and not.
How is that panic any different though? Because you still won't technically be seeing what's coming after you because you'll be looking at your pad.
No, but you can look between the two and you can see the zombies getting closer, so the fear gets higher as you're trying to put in the code and you're looking between the two.
I had the perfect metaphor actually for how the Wii U doesn't work, and it's Squall's limit breaks in Final Fantasy VIII. Because
you're too busy looking at
the bar to get the exact timing, so you don't get to see him doing his cool looking weapon skills. Or limit breaks.
That's true, but I think in this case the way that they're playing it is that another example is where you're using it to shoot with a sniper rifle, right?
Oh, that was a good one. I will agree with you there. I like that.
Where you hold, because sniping with a screen that's small and close to your face is much more immersive and better for sort of, I wouldn't say necessarily accuracy, because I don't know how accurate this controller is going to be, but...
Well, technically it's as accurate as you're holding, which is another level of realism. If you've got shaky hands...
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to be able to snipe
too much caffeine
well.
and you're not going to be popping any heads. But I like that. Lift it up and the sniper comes up and you're looking through and moving.
I like that aspect of the conceptual trailer. Let's see if it actually looks like that in the finished thing.
So...
we should point out Zombie U's set in Britain.
Oh, yeah.
And the way they showed this during the CG trailer was having like a Johnny Cash type person sing the national anthem and having redcoats driving buses.
Just to make sure it's completely clear that it's in Britain.
To be completely clear, for those not in Britain, redcoats guard the Queen. They don't drive buses. Bus drivers drive buses. Just throwing it out there. You'd have thought
my mind has been just completely blown open by that. I always thought, no.
You see, that's the only thing that stands out for me for that first trailer of Zombie U. Just that one thing. Why is a red coat driving a bus?
You've got that rooted in your head, have you?
Yeah, it's when I notice I can't unnotice. Let's move on quickly to Assassin's Creed 3.
Yeah. Which we were expecting to be at E3, and it was. And
it has a bow and arrow. This podcast is going to... Oh, no, it's going to be called E3 Special, isn't it? If it wasn't going to be called that, it would be bow and arrow.
It could be E3 Special, E3 2012, the bow and arrow.
Sure. Let's see how that goes. So what's your thoughts on what they showed it of Assassin's Creed 3?
I was deeply confused by the ship-to-ship combat stuff.
That was interesting. You can't say they're not doing something different.
That's why I was confused, because it's so different. I was looking at it thinking, does that look fun? I'm not really sure.
When did my Native American ancestor become a pirate?
There's that too.
But the Civil War did actually spread down to there, so technically, historically, it makes sense.
It was...
Did you watch both gameplay trailers? Because the ship-to-ship contact one was at the Sony conference, I think. The one that was shown at the Ubisoft's own was him going around a camp and then going after a target.
I think I missed that one.
Oh, you've missed the best one. that showed what actual gameplay is like, rather than pirate ships having a barmy with each other.
Whoops.
Yeah, so it showed him, he was walking around in the snow, and the gameplay is essentially the same, but it looks so much better when he's jumping up trees and leaping from tree to tree rather than building to building, because it's not as obvious, oh look, there's a bit where I can grab onto.
So it feels a little bit more sort of...
flowy. So it showed him wading in the snow. He hunted some deer to do a side quest, and then he infiltrated a base. Let's see, check my notes. What did he do?
What did he do?
What did he do?
Day one.
It showed off some of the combat. It flows. It looks like it flows as easy as it has in the last couple. And he does things like grab guys and use them as human shields, so that's how you get around more of the enemies being armed with guns. But it's guns which have slow reloads. So
assuming that they hit something else or miss, then you're good.
And it showed him, if a guy's right below him and he's above them in a tree, he can strangle them and then hang them. Leap down. A bit violent, but So, yeah, showed that. He blew up some ammunition stores when he was hunting his target to cause a ruckus so he could just charge in there.
He always blows up ammunition stores.
Pretty much, yeah. So I just observed in my notes that I liked the way the movement looked. It looked far better. And it's nice that it's just not a huge city. So it is actually wilderness and things.
That's interesting, but I hope it's not too far like the first Assassin's Creed, where you've got all this emptiness in between, where they did away with that, so you could essentially just fast travel between places. True.
And they also said it spans 30 years, so it's before, during, and after the American Civil War.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah, it might not even be one ancestor, who knows? They didn't say that, but I'm thinking out loud.
Just throwing it out there.
Throwing it out there, like most other things.
It's going to come with the multiplayer that we're pretty familiar with by now.
And there's also still that co-op type one. And of course there's now going to be a spin-off on the Vita.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Starring a lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not really all that bothered about that, but then...
Nor am I, but if I had a PSV, I would definitely get it, because it looked alright.
For a handheld, yeah.
It's alright.
It's alright.
Then they did Shoot Mania. I've still got no idea what the fuck that was.
I didn't see this.
They had famous Counter-Strike players, like a team of 3 girls and 3 guys playing each other. One of them had a railgun, the others didn't.
It was like Quake.
No idea if it's an indie game or... I don't know what it is. If anyone knows what Shoot Mania is, please tell me.
I think it's about shooting. The title suggests shooting to me.
The people were shooting. I just don't know what it's on. There was something about a beta, I think.
It's like somebody snuck into your house mid-conference and injected you with something that kind of tripped you out for a few minutes, and then that part of the conference ended.
I would much rather talk about what is my second highlight.
On you go, then. On you go.
It's a game that they are. It's just a working title, I think, right now, but they're calling it. What are they calling it? Blackout something or other, isn't it?
Is this
I can't remember. Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs. That was
Dogs.
it. Watch Dogs. Sorry, I was confusing it with something else.
I thought for a second there that you'd found something else that I had spotted. No. But yes, Watch Dogs is the other one I'd tipped for being your.
Because it looked very innovative. It also looked innovative.
It feels to me, from looking at it, the gameplay is familiar from... It's like Grand Theft Auto and Heavy Rain having a baby.
That is a good combination. I almost my interest boner went away, almost.
Your interest boner?
When he pulled the gun out, because I thought, oh, here we go, cover-based Grand Theft Auto style shooting, and there was a bit of that, which was a bit disappointing. I much preferred the subtlety that was going on before, it's kind of like it's based on a world where information is all automated. Yeah. It looks modern. I mean, it looks like any city you would see today, but people know how to hack pretty much everything. Yeah, so it showed him
shorts out everybody's phones and stuff in a small area.
So he can black out an area so he's not on camera. He sneaks into a club, hacks into someone's phone to listen to it, changes traffic lights to cause a crash. And at the end, it kind of went all confusing where it looked like someone else who had the same skills as him was trying to catch him, I think. I'm not quite sure.
In theory, all of this sounds really good. The only problem is if they're showing all of their cards now, that maybe there are only a set number of these things that you can interact with and they keep using them again. Like you have to keep doing cameras, or you have to keep doing phones, or you have to keep doing traffic lights, and there's not enough variety.
It would be nice if it was open-ended in terms of the ways you could do whatever it is you're doing.
A bit like ways of getting around any particular Hitman level.
I was just going to say old school Hitman.
Yeah.
Do you want to moan a bit about Hitman now that we just brought that up, just briefly, because it wasn't at any of the conferences?
Is this just... were they supposed to be there? Is this just because they thought what we'll do, we'll release the trailer first?
They were on the shop floor. I just mean they weren't at any of the conferences. Have you seen the trailer that everyone got in a fuss about?
The Nuns thing.
The Nuns thing. Have you seen the Nuns thing?
I have seen the Nuns thing.
Were you offended by it?
Not really, but it takes an awful lot to offend me. Come on. I mean,
that is very, very true.
Somebody actively said that we would be good to have a TV show, but I wouldn't be allowed on it because I say things that they wouldn't allow.
You would make a nun blush.
I would.
Even a latex nun with a machine gun or a rocket launcher, as the case may be in that trailer. I didn't watch the trailer first, so my opinion was tainted beforehand because I saw people complaining about it. I did watch it. It was gratuitous. Didn't feel like traditional Hitman games, which are more about subtlety.
Yeah.
Didn't have any problem with it being about him taking on this group of female assassins and him winning by killing them, because that's kind of the point.
It's like that bit in Saints Row 3 where all the hookers turn out to be assassins.
Well, that's where I'm getting to, though. The fundamental flaw in the trailer for me is there's absolutely no reason for them to be dressed the way they are, because Agent 47, for those who don't know, you play as a guy called Agent 47. He was wounded in a rundown motel, so there's no reason why they required to dress in skin-tight nun outfits. That makes it gratuitous, and that's why it was so terrible. Plus, I would assume religious types found it offensive.
They probably just went for the shock value thing.
They probably did. Yeah. They have actually gone on record now apologising, but presumably still enjoying the PR that they got.
Yeah.
I'm still in two minds about whether I'm interested in that or not, because if it's too far departed from the subtle ways you could do your missions in the previous games, where it was all about trying to do it as silently and as skillfully as possible, it isn't that aspect.
Even when I went out and picked up, which Hitman was it? I didn't even finish it.
You really should, because Blood Money was very good. I liked it.
Even that felt too far away from what I was familiar with from the first. I only played the first Hitman game.
But isn't that not the one that tried to force you not to be guns blazing, because you then had to waste your money lowering your notoriety around the world?
To a certain extent, yeah, I suppose. But it didn't feel. I don't know. There's something that didn't feel quite right about it.
Maybe not quite as much as the previous one and the expansion for it.
I might go back and do a me rambling on video playthrough of me attempting it. Because I don't have a problem with stealth games, but sometimes I get this nervous twitch in my leg sometimes, right? And I think I have a nervous twitch in my head too. And I just get that urge to, like, if I'm in a supermarket and I see all these, like, especially in the alcohol aisle where it's all, like, bottles stacked up, I always have an urge to, like, do, like, a running dive into it. I want to see it all just go everywhere and smash and stuff. And it's that mentality of, like loads of people have this, where you're standing next to a cliff and you have that sort of, like...
Someone told me once that's the difference between a sane person and a crazy person. We all have strange urges. It's just one type of person acts on them and the other doesn't.
Well, I don't in the real world, but when it comes to games, everyone's... Like, whenever I finished a game of Grand Theft Auto, even if I'd been playing GTA, perfectly, like, normal-ish... Mm-hmm. Whenever I was getting ready to, like, I'd save it and I was going to turn it off, I would always just, like, fire all of my bullets and grenades and rockets and stuff everywhere and cause as much havoc in the space of, like, you know, a minute before I turned it off. And it was like me just sort of just venting, I suppose. And that's the problem with Hitman games and stuff. And I suppose I could save it and then do all that venting, but if something isn't quite going my way, I'll just start venting and it just spirals out.
So you don't have the patience to, like, retry from the start if you've made a slight cock-up or learning all the ways you can do a stage, for example?
Not the last time that I tried.
Not that time, anyway.
I mean, I did get through the first Splinter Cell like that. The first time I picked it up, it wasn't really... It wasn't working for me. And then as I kind of got into that momentum, it all kind of clicked and it worked and it was fine. It's same with Tenchu. Tenchu was one of those ones that took a while before I finally calmed down enough not to just run around screaming at people and throwing grenades.
Back in the days even before YouTube, actually, before it really took off, I did videos for File Planet, I think. Some file sharing site that's now dead and buried. I just did little recordings of me doing some Blood Money stages or whatever Hitman game perfectly.
Huh.
So that was my early dipping into making non-Final Fantasy videos.
I see.
Should we move on to a new conference, because we've still got 2 to cover.
2?
Sony and Nintendo.
Oh, yeah.
And Sony was the next one chronologically. But...
for some reason, my notes have kind of blanked Sony out. I must have, like, had
I wonder why. Let's see, shall we? Actually, no, because they started with what my third and final interesting thing in the E3 is, so I can't make fun of them for being boring.
Okay.
Which is their new game from the Heavy Rain people.
Oh, this, yeah.
Yes, I can't remember what it's called. Let me check. It's called
a weird name.
Beyond: Two Souls. As in the
beyond your colon.
Not beyond the colon.
Your colon is beyond having a soul. My colon is definitely beyond having a soul, that's for sure.
And the subtitle or slogan for it is "Death is the biggest mystery of mankind."
Ooh.
So yeah, it looks like it's a girl who can communicate with a ghost that also kind of conveys psychic powers on her, and she's being hunted by the police for some reason, and very nice motion capture and facial recognition in it, a bit like L.A. Noire had, or better, in fact, because they're not trying to lie or whatever. So the trailer...
Do not,
okay.
Not go down that route again.
Okay. It actually reminded me a lot of a set of indie games I played for Critical Gamer called The Blackwell Legacy, which is kind of the same premise as a girl who speaks to ghosts and solves murders with the ghost's help, etc.
It's a bit weird.
It looked interesting to me. It looked a bit Akira at first.
Yeah.
Because she was bald and there was like... she made a cup fly across the room, so it was a bit like, oh, she's got psychic powers, has she? But then it's like she's talking to someone who's not there. So yeah, I'm color me intrigued.
Your intrigue boner is about a semi.
Yeah, kind of. It's getting there.
That should be like a ranking system. Like,
how big an interest boner?
How big an interest
does
boner,
this game create?
And it starts off at the bottom of like Viagra, desperately needed, and then works
not
up to
Viagra, DLC, desperately needed.
Anyway,
DLC and TLC. Anyway, the person you play as in it is voiced by Ellen Page. I've got no idea who that is. I presume she's famous. Sounds like a kind of name that's famous. It's kind of like a name that I think, oh, I've heard that name before. Don't know where from.
I don't know.
That must mean it's not mainstream movies. It'll be chick movies.
I've Googled her.
Oh, okay.
She's got a big face.
Okay. Does she have an acting career?
What has she done? Yeah, she's done some films, things.
Well, let's quickly move on then to PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. We correctly guessed one of the characters that got revealed by E3. It was Nathan Drake.
Yes, that was obvious. Do
you know who the other one was?
No?
Big Daddy from...
Oh, yeah,
Shop.
sorry, I did see that, yeah.
So they pretty much just ripped off Smash Brothers. Seeing it in action confirmed that. Much so that on the official Sony YouTube, when they uploaded the trailer that they showed at E3, the tags included Smash Brothers. It's like, don't get caught doing that, you Muppets.
That's bad, newbie.
That is a bad nunu. Nunu.
But this is like going back to talking about like Medal of Honor. We don't need another one of these things. Just like Super Smash Brothers is enough. I suppose
I'm not against Nintendo not having the monopoly on this type of game. I don't mind.
True, but make it different. Don't just make the same game with different characters.
Especially when you don't have a particularly strong exclusive character roster to choose from.
Is that, yeah.
Hellgast Soldier, Alien from Resistance.
Big Daddy isn't even,
Not really. No, it's an interesting one though.
That would be fun.
Yeah, you didn't just hear the Big Daddy, you also heard the little sister, so it would be a bit of a anticlimax if he plays the little sister. Her specials involve the Big Daddy attacking.
Oh, that would be brilliant.
That might still happen. And as far as that game goes, they confirmed that people playing on the PSV and PS3 can play together against each other, which it's not bad. That just shows how strong the PSV is, actually. I've noticed I've been saying actually too many times this podcast, and now it's annoying me. So if I say it, punish me.
You can start the drinking game now, so every time you say
I'm going to try not. God of War something or other was next. Never played them, so it didn't really interest me.
Just feels like Devil May Cry Light to me.
Well, it's Sony's version of that they got all to themselves.
Yeah. Woo.
What else came out of Sony's? Nothing. Well, they showed the Assassin's Creed game on Vita. It's called Liberation, and it's out this year, October, which is the same date Assassin's Creed 3 is out.
Handy.
Handy from a marketing point of view, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
They showed more of Far Cry 3. They actually showed... I said actually. They showed 4-player co-op.
Oh, I meant to watch that. I didn't watch that video.
Wasn't really...
Nothing really all that.
I'm trying to compare it to something else. It was generic, is what I would call it. Doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, just generic.
Fair enough.
So, there you go. And it had horrible fake TeamSpeak on the stage, like Cliffy B in his group when he was... that was 2 years ago now when they were showing off Gears of War 3.
It's just unnecessary. It's like...
It's painful.
It's when you see them like trying to sort of like bounce off each other during it. No, it's just...
There was a pretty bad, horrible back and forth in the Nintendo.
I was kind of...
referencing it.
Yeah.
You were foreshadowing, complaining about it later.
There's so many things that were just... Yeah.
There was a very brief appearance of a PlayStation Eye game called Wonder Book, endorsed by J.K. Rowling.
Oh, this is doing the spells and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you like it? Is that?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Is that your only comment? It's got spells and shit.
It's got spells. If I was doing like the
if I was doing a review of Harry Potter, that's what it would be.
It would be like on the back, like Blighty Warrior. It's got spells and shit. That's an endorsement on the back of the box.
That's a good endorsement, yeah. Other than that, Sony's was at least about games. They score points for that. They didn't spend much time on anything else other than the PlayStation Suite thing for their tablets and mobiles. And
yeah, they didn't. I think they've just decided that Move is really not something they need to really push. Kinect's kind of beating them over the head on that, which is a moot point because you don't need it anyway. So
true.
They've just gone, well, we'll just cut our losses here and not bother plugging it.
The last point of interest from theirs, depending on your point of view, would be Naughty Dog were there again showing off
The Last of Us.
The Last of Us. I thought the on-stage demo was quite good. It felt very cinematic, even though it was in-game. I think everything was staged in terms of gameplay.
You could be right.
It felt too contextual that he was down to his last bullet, he fired, then he clicked the empty chamber, the enemy thought, oh, he's got no ammo, and then runs out, and then your female companion throws something that just happened to be sitting next to her.
It seemed
time to run up and beat the guy up.
The only they must have like either set that piece up or that was a set piece within the
one way or the other. It was set up. Now, if that could just be an overly strong example of how things work, like she helps you out in fights.
Because you're always going to push forward with your best foot. You're always going to show like the best possible working dynamic of something like that. You're never just going to show like
her hiding in a bin.
Yeah, hiding in a bin for the entire game, or attempting to pick up an item that doesn't exist.
If it's a co-op game, the second player just has to constantly hide in cupboards and in bins, playing as the little girl that he's with.
If you jump back like sort of 15 years, that would be me. That would be me. I'd be the second person. Hiding in
you used to be a little girl hiding in bins.
Hiding in cupboards and under beds. And
you remind me of me when I was a little girl. Can we move on to the final conference, please?
Let's do. I think there's only really one thing to pull out of the Nintendo conference, really.
Is it the Wii U out of their arse?
Yeah. It is, yeah. They spent an awful lot of time talking about the Wii U. For obvious reasons.
I have a few facts about the Wii U which they didn't reveal at the conference and got revealed after, which are negative.
Neither of which are going to be the release date or the price.
No, because they chose not to share that.
So that's the thing. They spent all that time dragging it on, and then didn't actually mention either of the two things everybody really wanted to hear.
Yes. Instead, they just kept on going on about Twitter and Facebook. That really got my nerves. Not just during the conference, but I watched their official channel, which had interviews and things prior to the conference starting, and they kept on plugging Twitter and Facebook every minute.
They were the worst for doing that this year, but a lot of them were putting up like, Twitter this and Facebook that, and keep joining us. And it's that way of continuing to get more advertising out of people once you're
for free.
Yeah, exactly.
Which we certainly wouldn't do.
No, we would never get anybody to do anything along those lines.
We do have a Facebook page, of course, Bring Go Hurty.
Yeah, but we don't. Ours isn't full of like buy our shit. Ours is just here's something.
I mean, we wouldn't even have a market for that unless we were in Japan.
We'd be like mega rich in Japan. You could buy all those panties out of the vending machines.
Vending machines, yeah. Anyway, like I was saying, I have negative points which they also neglected to mention at the conference. Okay,
what is it?
One, there's a Pro controller for the Wii U, which doesn't have a screen on it, and the black version in particular looks identical to a 360 pad.
I've seen that since, but yeah.
Two, the battery life for the pad, which does have a screen, is 3 to 5 hours max.
Can it be played while plugged in?
Don't know.
Because that's a non-issue for me, because my Xbox controllers keep dying and I have them all plugged in anyway.
Okay, well, how about the third one? If you have two people using the pad with the screen, the frames per second is capped at 30.
On the screen or on the
On everything.
pad?
On everything.
What?
I don't know.
What?
Presumably it's to do with the streaming processing power. I don't know. Don't know the reason. Yeah, no 60 frames per second for you. Which is ironic, given that it's the Wii U.
And you can only use two of these pads, can't you? You can't have...
A max of two, but the games that Ubisoft were showing off were kind of like one person had it and everyone else had Wii remotes.
Yeah, I don't... Get rid of that. I don't want to... No, I don't like
Dear Nintendo, please get rid of following things. Okay, thanks.
It's just... I had like big expectations of there being 4 of these things. Because that would...
That would be price conscious. Can you imagine what it would cost?
One of those things, and then 3 people or 4 people using Wii remotes. It's just like, what? What?
The black version of the pad with the screen also looks identical to a PSP that's just been, like, someone stretched the picture a bit. I hope,
if I'm, feeling frisky and I decide to buy one of these things, I hope
you have to be frisky to make a purchase.
Oh yeah, I have to have my intrigue boner has to be at a certain level.
It has to have been fed enough DLC.
I hope that it launches with a black one, because all the rest of my stuff is black. Black Xbox.
Are you talking about the Wii U or your boner? You may have to edit that.
Oh, I'm leaving that in.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, like that the whole entertainment center of the living room is all black.
I see.
So the Wii is actually relegated to the spare room. I'm not joking.
It's why.
Yeah, that is why. It goes against my
racism.
It goes against my feng shui.
Right. So they spent a lot of time talking about Miiverse. A lot of time talking about it, but not being very specific about what the hell it is.
And showing off Nintendo Land,
Nintendo Land, I don't know what it is. Can you tell me what it is?
I think, right, I'm not sure. I'm just grasping at straws here. I think it's
PlayStation Home is the direction
PlayStation Home with some of the mini games from like the Mario Party sort of games.
Oh, right.
I think that's kind of what it is. I could be wrong.
But it speaks volumes that both of us watched that conference and neither one of us are sure.
And they showed a lot of it as well.
Yeah,
it's just that they showed lots of this stuff, but didn't really tell you what it was, and it wasn't made clear what it was.
Yes. But of course,
one of the things that I found the best...
rushed.
Yeah, oh, that's true. One of the things I found best was was various people being translated during all these conferences and so on. Every time they had somebody on that you'd have a translator, the guy standing behind them would be doing exactly the same hand gestures as
you pointed that out, and it annoyed me once you did, because I kept noticing.
It's like you were watching somebody, like, a couple of seconds backward in time, mimicking him. You're saying the words in English, but doing exactly the same hand gestures.
Hand gestures, that was weird. It's worth watching the conference just to see that once you know to look for.
It's mesmerising. It's just like...
It is. Oh, and you've reminded me, how on that Wiiverse, or the Wii U home screen as well, it has people from around the world, and it has things they say, and we kept on joking to each other, how long until you see a picture of a penis?
Yes, the first thing that would pop up is somebody drawing a cock against a particular game. So it shows up on your screen. The same thing happened with, what was it called? Was it Swapnote or whatever? I can't remember what it was called.
But they've thought of that and will stop you, because every single thing you send will get checked first. So I hope you like getting spied on by Nintendo.
Somebody is going to have a very busy job sitting looking at pictures of cocks all day.
Beep, cock, beep, beep, cock, beep, 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 Mario sucking a cock, beep, 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 Sonic and Mario having sex, beep, 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 Luigi and Mario having sex, beep, 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 a Nintendo orgy, save, beep, 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 and it keeps on going like that. I don't know about you, but I kind of won that job.
That's brilliant. I would love that job, seeing all these crap pictures of cocks people are drawing. It's like these people that are paid to work for like the net nanny companies and stuff that have to sit there basically trying to look for porn so that their like net nanny service thing can block those sites from your internet things.
So I want to draw you an offensive Wii U picture.com. Maybe $9.95.
Oh, love it.
But Nintendo will stop you. Getting back slightly serious, it was revealed that Arkham City is going to be on Wii U, so that just proves it does have graphical potential, but in my opinion, the difference in graphics between that version and the ones already out was obvious. It was still good. It didn't look as good, though. Until
the game is released and you see proper actual release gameplay footage, you can't really fully make the judgment. But at least the graphics aren't like noticeably a lot worse than current gen.
I didn't look at it and think, wow, that looks horrible compared to the version I played. I looked at it and thought, you can tell that's not as good graphics. It's what.
But at least they've tried.
Yeah, it shows it has strong potential.
The one thing that I always look at is that this was much more noticeable back in like the days of the PlayStation 1, right? But if you look at the product, the game cycle from like when the PS1 first released, and then look at stuff when it was like at the tail end before the PS2 came out, the graphic comparisons that
they always get better.
This is like them just starting off with the dev kit for for the Wii U, and it's kind of matching sort of near current gen graphics for these consoles.
So you think it has the potential to be better because once they get used to it?
It could be, but by that time, you'll get
the new ones will be out.
Yeah, so they kind of have shot themselves in the foot a little bit, maybe, but it depends. If it is capable of keeping up, then you'll get games that will be out on the Wii U as well as the others, and then they'll be in the competition for some of the other things. Be interesting to see whether or not I didn't see if Black Ops 2 or anything was going to come out on the Wii U.
They did a montage. Mass Effect 3 is Tekken Tag Tournament, Trine 2, Ninja Gaiden 3, and Aliens Colonial Marines.
That's the one that I picked up on before E3.
Mm-hmm. Even if it's almost the same or the same graphical comparison between all three, it makes Nintendo a proper contender again. That's
true. That is true.
Which is the key thing. It will be a 3-horse race as far as what console do I buy this game on. It's on all of them.
We won't be able to sit and slag them off anymore.
Not necessarily, yeah.
Oh, well, actually, there's a very good reason to slag them off, because they have the worst, very, very worst marketing department, because they cannot name things for shit. The Wii was a horrible name. Mm-hmm. The Wii U, probably even worse.
Yeah.
And then they brought out Wii Fit for the Wii, so what did they call it for the Wii U? Wii Fit U. Wii Fit U of what? A butt plug? A catheter? What? So I've decided that
you don't know what expansion accessories they'll bring out for it. It's just waiting.
Oh, God. Caloric irrigation pipe that you get to... No.
No.
So I want people to write in and tell us what they think should be at the end of that sentence. So we fit you blank. This is the blankety blank bit. So we fit you blank. And the best ones that come in will be read out in the next podcast. So you can post those on Facebook. So that's Facebook.com/BrainGoHurty. Or email them to braingohurty@gmail.com.
Can I pitch one now?
Yeah, you do one.
We fit you, fatso. Try and beat that, which didn't have much thought put into it, might I add. The thing that annoys me about Nintendo's marketing and PR department is that they do such condescending adverts that make me furious to watch. And they did one for the We Fit You thing.
I find just that Reggie bloke in general is just condescending. The way that when they talk, any time that they have one of these conferences and they have two guys on stage talking to each other, it's always in that like the people that are listening into this are kids, and we'll be really, really condescending to them so that they definitely understand what we're talking about.
This is a gamepad. You press these buttons to make things happen. That was either the video I watched about the Wii U gamepad or a sex ed video. I'm not sure which I was watching at the time.
Pick either. They probably both apply.
Yes, they're both as and both have an unhappy ending.
And you you have no idea what additional accessories they're going to release.
It says something about how weird Nintendo's conference was, that we were kind of getting sidetracked with every single topic, because they concentrated on games, they concentrated on their new game, they kind of ignored the 3DS and gave it its own separate show the day later, which I didn't watch. But the stuff they had for the Wii U was mostly conceptual stuff, CG.
Yeah.
Stuff that wasn't was crap, like that Sing thing.
Oh
wait, no, that was an advert. It was a terrible advert. It was frightening.
It kind of fizzled a little bit, didn't it? I was either expecting something incredibly grand and them to just be basically saying, like, take my money because this is going to be the next console, or for it to be like ridiculously awful. But it sort of bobbed about in the middle,
and they wasted too much time hurrying the newest Mario game for it,
which isn't even proper third dimension.
Super Mario Bros.
They've got this weird way of naming games.
They have a stupid childlike way of naming games, yes.
Eventually, it'll be like one of those business cards. Like my dad's business card has got like a million of all those like honors and various degrees and things he's certified to do. It'll be like that. They'll just have like 2 plus alpha. It'll be like Street Fighter. There you go. All the
Super Mario 2X, 3X, 2X.
Alpha.
Rose, Alpha 1, 6, Mushroom Power.
0.0.
Yeah. They showed a montage of upcoming games for the Wii U. It was... it was the 3DS. That's what they did instead of talking about them.
Yes.
Kingdom Hearts 3D, which I'm looking forward to next month. Castlevania Epic Mickey, Scribblenauts, which is also on the Wii U. They showed that GTA type Lego game.
That looked kind of...
I don't see the appeal of the Lego games. Do you? Have you played any?
I played Lego Indiana Jones 2, I think it was. Or was it the first one? No, it was the first one. It's quite fun, actually. Playing the co-op as well. It is good fun. And the humour that they put into it is very good.
Is it slapstick, or is there something there for everyone?
It's like that sort of midpoint with The Simpsons, where some of it was still like you'd have to be grown up to understand it. Some of it's a bit obvious.
All right, so they do try and hide stuff in that maybe younger people won't pick up on, but older people will appreciate.
So the game, they followed the script of whatever film or whatever it was that they were mimicking, but they would edit scenes to make them funny in certain ways and stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Some bits would be quite amusing. But yeah. But no, it's not something I would probably buy. It's better to buy Grand Theft Auto, because then at least you can run people over. Yeah. I don't have problems. Just putting that out there.
Yet, if you were to act on those things, then possibly. And of course, they just ended up talking about that Nintendo Land, which we've mentioned already.
Yeah.
You can also email in and tell us if you know what that was.
Yeah.
We think it's PlayStation Home, just Nintendo's version. We could be wrong. And I think that wraps up the main conferences. So now we're just on to the guff afterwards.
Guff. Bump.
So, what other topics have you got outside of the conferences?
Nothing else, because I didn't pick out anything else outside of the conferences.
Oh, really?
I thought this would be quite considerably enough information.
Oh, really? Oh, really, you say? What about Dead Island 2?
I didn't pick that out, no.
It's called Dead Island Riptide, and that's all we know about it because it was an announcement of an announcement.
So
by the end of the summer,
no,
just it had Dead Island Riptide. It's in the same style as the title for the first one was. It's going to be revealed properly in some form at the end of summer-ish. So,
we enjoyed Dead Island, so
we did, but I think it may be a bit soon. So it suggests to me that it's slightly rushed.
It would probably be basically, like big DLC rather than a real game.
So that's from the show floor. There wasn't really much else to come out of it. They were showing off what they're now calling Final Fantasy XIV Online version 2.0, which I must admit actually looks quite shiny in the screenshots that I've seen of it.
But that I don't understand. The graphics was never the issue. It was always really shiny.
Well, I mean, they've also changed. It looks like it is properly Final Fantasy XI with better graphics now. So if you haven't seen them, I'll show you the screenshots after we're done here, then you can share your opinion next time.
That's a good point. So this isn't going to like try and coax you back into it then?
I would be willing to try it for free. I'm not quite sure why they didn't wait.
You'd be willing to try everything for free. Sex with a donkey, as long as it's free.
That's not true. I've been around donkeys and there was no warrant. And nothing happened.
Shifty eyes.
The donkey says otherwise, it'll soon be dead.
So, what else came out of the...
lots of guff, lots of horrible, disgusting, pointless guff on the shop floor. Shit, mostly. MMOs hooring their wares. Fall of Cybertron is out in the end of August, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, as long as it...
There was a new CG trailer for that. It was a bit interesting. I did have
everybody was been saying to Michael Bay, that's how you should do a Transformers film.
Here's how you do Transformers properly, Mr. Bay. And then he just explodes, because that's what he does.
He's just like a walking, it's like fireworks.
I did have a really brief but really geeky observation about the previous gameplay of the Dinobots in this Transformers game. And it's going to sound... I've already said it's going to sound geeky, so I might as well just confirm it. Go for it. In it shows off all the Dinobots, not just Grimlock. One of the other ones called Swoop. He has one line, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's Nolan North voicing him. Now, other than the fact that it's Nolan North, the thing that annoys me about it is in the 80s cartoon, Swoop was voiced by a voice actor I quite like called Alexander Bell, who is still alive and still does voice work. So why didn't they get him? And it just annoys me. You actually will know him because he's most famous for probably voicing Raziel in the Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver games.
Oh.
So
we were talking about that as well fairly recently, about why they haven't rebooted that franchise. But anyway, continue.
There's rumours about that. But yeah, I it just annoys me that they didn't get him when he did the voice of that character in the 80s cartoon. And I haven't heard him doing a main voice in a game since Lost Odyssey. I've heard him do extra work, but that's it.
Maybe he's busy.
And he's an underrated actor, or maybe he's retiring actually, because he is quite old now. But yeah, that's my geeky thing out of the way that I wanted to moan about.
Phew.
Don't phew.
I like stompy robots, but there's a limit to how...
Yeah, you like the multiplayer as well.
Yes.
Both co-op and versus.
It was fun. Stompy.
Do we have anything else to talk about?
I suppose I could drop in the only email that we received from Nathan Buxton.
The person we almost killed.
Yes. He saw something and thought of us.
Oh dear.
I know you're probably busy with all the E3 stuff, but I saw this
anymore.
and thought of you and Flick. I'm not sure why. And then he linked me to a news piece that's on like a Yahoo news piece.
This is a news piece that you have actually already seen.
I have spotted it as well. It's a guy that turned his dead cat into a helicopter.
Now, I have seen the picture, but I have not heard the story behind it. Is this genuinely his dead cat he gutted and turned into a helicopter?
The link is not valid anymore, so I can't fully check this out.
You didn't read it beforehand? You realise it's going to bug me forever.
It is a genuine dead stuffed cat. I don't know if it was his.
Was he arrested for doing it?
I don't think there's anything wrong if it's yours. I mean,
is he stopped by Chinese restaurants offering him bids?
You can technically do whatever you like with your own.
Within reason, within public decency.
Well, we've always talked about like when the cats die, whether or not we're going to get them stuffed, and you could like fill them with.
That is horrible. Don't do that.
You could fill them with stuff that you put in beanbags, so you can change their poses and stuff, like action figures.
That is disgusting. That is horrible. that is morbid.
Like the people I used to share a flat with before that had a dog. That had talked about getting the dog stuffed and just like hiding it in the corner of the room, moving it around and stuff, freaking people out.
That is disgusting.
And I always said that
I know it's a dog, but I would also say that is disrespectful.
they should make sure that it's standing upright on all four legs and put like a coffee table sort of top over the top, so you had like a dog themed coffee table. I think that would be brilliant.
That's horrible.
You could have like coasters made out of rabbits.
Dead people, but not dead animals. That's the rules.
But can you imagine this thing flying towards you? This like cat helicopter thing spinning around.
I'm picturing the picture of it in my head right now. It's annoying that link isn't working now because we could have linked it on the.
I'm sure I can find it on the interwebs.
And I want to know what he was thinking. I want to know how much drugs were in his system when he thought it, and why people allowed him to do it, and why he's still free today. In any order, you can answer those questions. Anyone listening?
Because he's gained worldwide headlines. The guy is a Dutch guy. It's a work of art.
If you're about to say
a dead cat into a remote-controlled helicopter.
If you're about to say that he's going to sell it or offer to do it to other cats, I'm leaving the planet again.
Yep. He's expected to turn a tidy profit after stuffing his cat after it was run over by a car, before attaching motors and propellers to turn his pet into an airborne work of art. He's originally put a £8,000 price tag on the cat helicopter. It's on display in Amsterdam as part of an art fair.
Okay, I've not really enjoyed living here. I'm going now. Don't go to Mars or something.
It's just... It's weird. It's very weird.
And you cannot excuse it by saying he's Dutch. That's not acceptable. Even though I was thinking it just now.
When you look at it from like the front perspective, it looks like it's like... I know it is flying, but it looks like it's flying.
I should just point out, you may have heard like a bunch of cans rattling there. That is my dog going through cans at my side. She's an alcoholic.
Are you going to stuff it and turn it into a Gundam?
Only if she annoys me. A Gundam dog would be impressive.
When you see the picture from the front, it looks like it's doing the Superman sort of flying pose thing.
Yeah, that meme picture from years ago, yeah. Did he say anything else other than pointing out the cat copter?
He decided to turn his cat into an aircraft because his cat and its brother had been named after the Wright brothers. So it was Wilbur and Orville.
Right. That makes it perfectly acceptable for him to invent the pussy propeller.
Pussy plane.
Not plane. Propeller. So
it's weird. Just Google cat helicopter and you'll find videos, pictures. It's crazy. It's freaky.
It is crazy. It is. Right, so we done?
Yeah, I think so. So, general thoughts and feelings.
Email person.
Yeah.
I know it's your birthday today, actually, so happy birthday.
He also pointed out about your birthday. Thanks for reminding me about that.
What?
It's your birthday.
It's not my birthday today.
Soon, though.
No, it's soon. Next week, actually.
And they were looking to find out how old you are.
Not telling.
To know whether or not, it was legal in that state or not.
To know what was legal in that state? That thing.
Yeah.
I don't think murder is ever legal.
Right. Well, I suppose it's probably time to wrap things up.
I think that would be the best thing to do. Yes. Anyone wanting to send me a birthday present can just send me it. Just throw it in Scotland's direction. I'll find it.
You'll find it somewhere.
I'll find it somehow. There's only so many people that live here.
Yeah, and we all run around in kilts and carry claymores.
Yeah.
So, if you fancy reaching us to see what our kilts and claymores look like, you can visit us on Facebook, Facebook.com/BrainGoHurty.
Or upkiltcamera.com.
Uglyscots.com.
Excited was that Willie was looking at in The Simpsons.
You can email us at braingohurty@gmail.com. There's also the Steam group. We haven't really been involved in the Steam group for a while.
It's because of Diablo 3.
Diablo 3, etc. And I think that's probably about it. So
I think that is it. I hope you've enjoyed our E3 podcast much more than E3 itself.
That wouldn't be difficult. And if you feel free to comment and let us know what you thought about E3. And yeah, my brain hurts.
Yeah, that went on for a while. Let's go turn your cat into a pussy propeller.
Whee!